What made my bio dad leave my championship game before I even got my trophy? Everyone in town knew me as Coach Ray's kid. Not because he was my real dad, but because he acted like it. He was at every game and every practice and every school event I ever had. When teachers needed to call a parent, they called him, and when I got in trouble, he picked me up. My teammates assumed he was my father, and I never corrected them. My bio dad left when I was 7 to start a new family in another state, and I hadn't heard from him since. Coach Ray was the only dad I ever knew. Senior year, I was team captain with scouts coming to watch my championship game. Then out of nowhere, my bio dad decided to show up. My mom called me after practice, and her voice sounded off. She said, "Your biological father wants to come to your game." I said, "Absolutely not." She said, "He's already in town." I came downstairs the next morning, and there he was on our couch wearing a custom shirt with my jersey number on it and the words, "Proud Dad," printed across the back. He had the audacity to wear that shirt when Coach Ray never needed one to prove anything. He opened his arms wide like he expected me to run into them. I didn't move. He pulled out a baseball glove still in the plastic, but it was the wrong size and the wrong hand. He held it out to me, and I let it just hang there in the air between us. 10 years of nothing, and this was supposed to make up for it. He looked at my mom and said, "I want to sit in the family section, front row if possible." She said, "That's fair since you came all this way." I pulled her into the kitchen. I said, "I don't want him there." She said, "He's still your father. Stop being dramatic." Then he showed up at practice and walked onto the field, shaking hands with my teammates like he was some kind of celebrity. He put his arm around one of them and said, "I'm his father. All that talent comes from my side." I walked up to him and said, "You need to leave." He grabbed my shoulder and laughed right in my face. He said, "Relax, the scouts will love seeing what a supportive family you have. This could help your career and you should be thanking me." I shoved his hand off. Coach Ray was watching from the dugout with his jaw tight. He turned and walked inside alone, and I realized he thought he was being replaced. That broke something in my chest. My bio dad called me that night. He said, "I talked to your mom, and we agreed I'm walking onto the field with you after you win. I'm going to hand you the trophy myself." I said, "If you step on that field, I will make sure everyone knows exactly who you are." He laughed and said, "What are you going to do? Make a scene? You won't risk your future over this. Besides, everyone already thinks I'm your dad, so just play along and smile." The line went dead. He thought he had me trapped. He was wrong. I barely slept that night. I kept running through everything in my head, and by morning, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Game day came, and the stadium was packed. We won on the final out, and they called my name as MVP, and my bio dad was already climbing over the railing with his arms stretched wide. He pushed through the crowd and grabbed my arm hard. He whispered, "Let's go, son. Cameras are watching, and this is my moment too." I ripped my arm back and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Don't touch me." His smile flickered, but he kept coming. I walked to the podium, and they handed me the trophy and the microphone. I said, "I need to thank someone." My bio dad stepped right up next to me and put his arm around my shoulder and started waving at the crowd like he had already won. I said, "Coach Ray, can you come up here?" His hand shot out and grabbed my shoulder. He hissed, "What are you doing?" I pulled away from him and said into the mic, 10 years ago, Coach Ray got offered his dream job in another state. He turned it down because he knew I had no one. He stayed here and coached our little team for almost nothing because he didn't want me to grow up without a father. He never told a single person." Coach Ray walked up slowly. Tears were streaming down his face. I held out the trophy and said, "You're my real dad and you always have been." He wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "I love you, son." My bio dad never once said those words to me in my entire life. The crowd exploded around us. I looked over his shoulder. My bio dad was frozen next to the podium with his mouth hanging open. People in the front rows were whispering and pointing at him. His face went bright red. He stumbled backward and knocked over a chair. He shoved past a cameraman and practically sprinted toward the parking lot. Security just watched him go. He blocked my number before I even left the stadium. I legally changed my last name a few months later to Ray.